What's cracking, bro?
Cracking lacking, man. I just spent the past like 4 hours just slaughtering this dumbass.
Oh man, I got 55 Christians all right now just annihilating, just cheapest,
Yeah,
cheapest, cheapest,
did you see my
cheapest.
comments
Like
to him?
I don't give a
Tell,
fuck. I'm a stone. I could give two shits. I'm just sitting reading and go,
right. Hey, all you Christians, according to your Bible, Jesus is a bastard, and bastards do not inherit the kingdom of heaven. Checkmate, you lose.
oh, there's a guy that asked if we were smoking bud. No one smokes bud here. Not here. We don't know what that is.
No, no, not at all. What's that?
No, no, I don't know.
We have no idea what that is.
I like raisins.
Right, Baffy? Baffy official up in my page. What's up? Hey,
Oh man,
079, how you doing? How you doing?
we got so. Oh man, how many is on yours right now?
Right now, two. They'll probably
I
all.
got
Fortunately, you're still loved by God. Okay, hey, 079, which God? Are we talking Ra? Are we talking Odin? Are we talking, Enki and Lil? What about, I mean, I can keep listening. Which God specific? Are you referring to Yahweh, the son of El and Elohim,
Satan.
the mother of Lucifer? Which is it? I mean, you gotta, I don't get it. Which God? Like, come on. Like, you're gonna
We got
preach your know
God is
your
dead.
shit.
Well, it's not. We're
They
on a
always
rise
try to
of
find
humanity. Hey, you got to say right now, in right now. Alexa, shut up. Alexa,
Shut up, Alexis. Thanks for all
uh,
the gifts, everybody. Love it.
well, hey, humanity right now. I've noticed this is the first time in life that we have the opportunity as atheists and Satanists and non-believers to show the world that we're not what they think that we are because their parents
Yeah, like
brainwashed.
supposedly we murder babies and wear their face as a mask and all this other tribunal shit. Let me explain it to you, cupcakes. Okay, there are two different forms of main versions of Satanism, right? There's Satanism, which most of us are just atheists or agnostics or anti-theists, and the whole form of Satanism was to laugh at your dumbass. Okay, they don't believe in the supernatural
That's
or Lucifer. Secondary, if you're talking about Luciferians, guess what? They definitely know more about your fucking bullshit fairy tale than you do. Bam!
right.
Is that good enough? Do you think
This
that?
is a bad mic drop. Hey, well, that's the whole thing is that we're not bad people. All we are is just chilling, and we are here to be a. Hey, whenever you have an extreme right, you got to have the extreme left to balance. We are the
Right.
balance. If you guys don't understand what the balance is, you don't understand even your God because He
As above,
balanced.
so below. For everything is of mind, duality, and observation. And that duality is simply the observation of polarity.
Well, I mean, you know what? There's a guy that was on there and he said something. I love it. I love when people say shit, and I'm like, I haven't thought about that in a while. And
Blood
it's like,
drinking, yes. The blood drinking.
is
Oh,
the
keep going. Sorry.
Bible? Yeah, the Bible
Yeah.
is the claim. Bible is just a claim. It's not proof. It's just the claim.
It's just the claim. It's a very
That's
bad
it.
claim at that. I mean, with all these prophecies, you'd think at least one of them would have a date.
Well, it's so funny. You say, how many times have I heard in 45 years that Jesus was coming back? Because in the 80s it was going to happen, in the 90s it was going to happen, and all this. Oh, and all through the so many fucking
So
times.
you know how we all know that Moses wasn't a real person. He was what they call the King Arthur effect, meaning he was a description of many people that they kind of different, fairy tales that they threw in together in Hebrew
Exactly.
lore.
Yes.
But let's consider that maybe it could be true, right? And one of the evidences, excluding Ron Wyatt, not the archaeologist, the nurse, by the way, that there are chariots at the bottom of the sea, right? Well, one in their book, it states that their god was defeated by chariots, but I digress. But so are cars. And so it makes me wonder, did Jesus drive a Honda because he never spoke of his own accord?
Ah! Ah, that's great. I was waiting for that to go somewhere fucking else, bro. I was like, serious. I'm like,
Yeah, exactly, Draft Imp. So I'd like to mention this. So, like Draft Imp just said, on page 89 of the Satanic Bible, it condemns the very notion of baby sacrifice. And yet, in the Bible, in Genesis 17:11, it clearly commands you to mutilate not only your own genitals, but the genitals of your slave and the genitals of your child.
right. Hey, hold
Force
on 1 second.
their will as a contract between you and your blood god.
Wait, hold on 1 second.
Boom.
Hobbs, don't delete. Hey, don't block anybody. Hobbles, don't block anybody. Let all of them stay. I want them all to
Yeah,
comment. Don't
just
block.
let them sit and stay because they're about to learn something. They're about to learn something. Because the problem with them is they don't realize that us atheists, most of us left because we started actually studying the book. We didn't just take home our little devotionals and quoted, oh, I don't know, 2 Corinthians 10, verse 4. For the weapons we use are not of this world, because they have divine powers to demolish. Can I get an amen? Strongholds, and those strongholds of your life of the devil, for he lurks like a roaring lion, seeking to devour. Hallelujah.
Hey, come on, James. Hey, you know what the guy just told me right here? He says, when we rapture out, you guys are going to be the leaders of the next church.
Bro, we're gonna be waiting for that rapture like fucking Leonardo DiCaprio waited to get a seat on that door.
Yeah, hey, you know what I mean? We're going to be long dead before you ever think that. Oh, man, it don't even matter. It don't even, I'm fucking worm meat. It don't even matter. And even if it was real, why the fuck would I want to go hang out with Jesus?
Well, I mean,
Seriously.
1 Samuel 15:3 clearly states and commands the Israelites, which, by the way, true historians of the Bible clearly state that this specific verse and book is what they call hyperbole because they didn't actually kill them. But I digress. He commanded them to go in and slaughter every man, woman, and child.
And beast. And beast. And all the
And
beast and livestock, everything that was alive. Nothing to be. And they had
yep.
to burn all the gold, too. Remember, we had to melt all the gold down. Everything of value had to be annihilated.
Here's one thing that they also don't get. King Solomon, oh yes, a real person, was
Oh, yeah.
literally one of the leading pioneers of demonology.
Oh, yeah. He had that fucking ring and shit. He was all. Hey, man, he's the first
Hardcore into
Jesuit.
alchemy, and he was one of the leading persons. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Christians, I recommend you read a Hebrew text known as the Sefer Yetzirah. Yeah, teaches you literally how your Yahweh God created Adam. You know how to make golems.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, you started to freak people out with too much truth. Oh, damn.
And
There's
let's not
so much
consider the fact that
there.
what's worse is, before I jumped on here, I already had like 5 joints. So all this shit I'm spitting by memory is while I'm stoned out my fucking minds. That's how dumb you are.
Jump. Get it. Get it. Well, it's an amazing thing. We spend all these years in steady, right? And
Yeah.
we reach this point where we're like, oh shit, steady myself
Thank
into
you, Grant.
the woke mode. I call it I'm woke now. I'm there. I understand. I get it. And then you take all that knowledge and then you can keep steadying and say, okay, what can I do to
I wish I could
fuck
like
with
comments in the stream. Because, like,
oh man.
okay, I gotta tell you, like, head on. But Draven Earp Loki was like, Christians know historically and geographically, Jesus was likely a bisexual colored skinned midget. She's not wrong. She's not
No,
wrong.
no, she's
Because
not.
one, I ask people this all the time. Even though we have almost basically zero actual firsthand references of Yeshua, which Yeshua was it? Was it the carpenter? Was it the rabbi? Or was it the hippie? Now, if you're talking about the rabbi, yes, for 14 years of his life, historically, first he spent 5 years in Tibet and then 6 more years in Egypt. Then he spent a couple more years wandering before he came back.
Right.
And he wasn't crucified. He was stoned to death by the rabbis, and he wasn't stoned to death like they normally do. No, there's a book inside the Bible where it actually talks about where he actually died, but they rewrote it as he escaped and survived. And it's the part where they threw him off, attempted to throw him off the cliff when reading the Torah, because when he came back, he started teaching what is now known as the Hermetic principles, which beforehand, like Druidism, was only passed orally.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so when he came
exactly.
back, so the very Yeshua that they're talking about are 4 different Yeshuas, and each one is referenced differently, slightly in each gospel.
Yeah, each text, which they still have no clue who wrote them.
Hey, everybody.
Well,
Oh,
here's
hang on.
another.
Country Boy just said Jesus loves me. Okay, if he loves me and he did such a great sacrifice, let me ask you something. Um, why didn't he stay dead? I mean, he just took a 3-day vacation and remained God, right? The same God that knows everything and knew everything before creation, and thus anything that happens after that creation is only playing out to what he willed. Therefore, no one can actually be saved, dumbass, because you can't make a choice of your own. Because anything you choose, he knew before he created you, which means he created you destined for hell regardless. By the way, only 144,000 people make it to the next earth. Not even heaven, next earth. At least read your fucking doctrine.
Right,
Sorry.
right. Yeah, no, get it, because you know what? I love people's perspective. It's an amazing thing because when you read the Bible for what it is, and we spend the years in what we do, depending on who or where you got your I call it my edification. Uh,
Medication, yep.
my
It comes
edification.
inedible. Of course.
You're gonna see a different uh view of a lot of things, but with the same outcome. I really like how you say it. I like.
Yeah, thank you. So I got to say 2 things real quick. One, again, Draven Loki dropping the fucking facts. She goes, if we still have sins, I don't see any frost giants Odin wins. Right, yeah, for sure. Like, Odin promised no more ice giants. I don't see no more fucking ice giants.
I
And
would love.
secondly, let's look
Go
at
ahead.
that. So, what are the wages of sin?
Death.
Death. Okay. And Jesus supposedly paid the price for said sin, correct?
Right.
Now, is that just before he was crucified or altogether?
Well, no, it's supposed to be the representation of the spiritual death that we will encounter,
Oh,
not hell.
the
Spiritual
second
death.
death.
We go to die. We just
Gotcha.
die.
So, the second death, correct.
Right, but see, the Bible never preaches a hell. We both know that. It says, for
Right.
the saved, they go be with the Devosaurus, and they go float and be Tyrannosaurus heaven gods or whatever they do. Eat
Yep.
chickens in heaven, and we just die.
Well, what they don't even realize is not only is it mostly Greek, but they reference Sheol, which was, a
Fucking garbage dump.
providence of another deity. Then you've got
Oh,
Hades, another god and place controlled by another deity. And then you had Gehenna. And Gehenna, though they didn't have it wasn't a burning trash heap like a lot of people confuse themselves with. So actually do your education, people, especially if you're gonna argue with Christians. But it was a place where certain followers of Baal and Azazel, who practiced what they called blood magic, did do consensual blood sacrifices, meaning they were people kind of like the Norse, culture, Native American
no.
culture you find throughout Europe, etc., India, you name it, in which they practiced these consensual blood sacrifices where people would choose to sacrifice themselves to their god. It's not something that was out of the ordinary. I mean, even Abram didn't question Yahweh when he's like, yo, sacrifice your kid Isaac for me, bro. And by the way, even though I'm all knowing and know that you're not gonna do it, I'm still gonna make you think that I want you to do it, and then I'm gonna call Sykes at the end.
It's bullshit, right? That's so crazy. It's so dumb when you actually say it out loud that it's like, oh, come on, this is you can't really fucking believe this, right? Like, come on, this is so dumb. Blueberries the size of Toyotas rolling down the street, bouncing
Oh
on
no,
the ground.
you got my man. No. Wait, hang on. Thank you for not muting me like your friend. Have a good day, brother. Of course, I wouldn't mute you, useless, for sure. Like, if you want to come in here and speak your shit, but just know that I'm gonna check the shit. Like, I'm gonna correct it where it needs to be corrected. But I mean, if you were being a dick over there, dude, that's between you and him. And don't be a dick, man, because unlike this guy who's actually nice, I get petty as fuck. Forewarning to all you, and I fucking enjoy it.
Yeah,
I
I
am
know.
chaos.
I am chill. Then you come fuck with the California style. I'll just smoke weed and hang out and laugh at your shit. You can make fun of
Hey,
me,
here's
call
what
me I miss some teeth. I don't give a fuck. What I'm married, my wife is hot. I get to fuck every day. What do you got? Oh, and I got a nice ass house and I'm retired at 45 and I got a pound of weed in my fucking drawer. And I'm
I'm I'm
chilling for
already
the
I'm already basically retired myself. I run a couple
rest
side hustles
Oh
and
man,
shit
it's
like that.
nice.
Most of my time I spend just helping people who actually fucking deserve it and who are actually in need.
I just chill. This is a blast. And then when people make fun of me, I'm like, fuck, dude, my life is cake. What the fuck's your life? Oh, wait, you haven't
Well, like
started it
when I
yet.
take donations and shit like that, you know how most organizations or especially churches, when they take their tithes, most of it goes into a new building, new car, new plane. Every penny I have ever taken from a donation or like I was talking about earlier, where I set up the thing so a certain amount of the profits that I make are also going to help people and where people can track where it goes and choose where it goes. I've never kept a penny from any of that shit. Not once. Why? Because one, money's fake, do your education. And two, if you do want to play their little Monopoly game, um, it's not hard. It's not. You just build a couple separate forms of income. You do what they call the spider web effect. Anyone who wants to be financially stable, listen to this guy right here. He ain't gonna lie to you. He's gonna teach you. But another thing that I know he hasn't added is the fact that every good, successful person has between 5 to 9 different sources of income. Even if they're small incomes, but combined, they do the job, which gives you the ability to actually research, to actually improve that mind, to make a difference. Because just like one of my shirts is gonna say, if you want to see a change, you got to fucking be the change.
Right. And you got to be willing to sacrifice your time to make it happen and put in that work. If you want to retire at 45, well, I was retired before. So if you want to retire in your 40s, look, yo, if you're young, seriously, take
Oh
that
God,
investing,
most
take
definitely, I did it.
take this shit serious. Take that shit
Yeah,
serious because fucking you can chill and just do nothing the rest of your life if you play the game correctly. It's fucking a
yeah.
game. It's a fucking game. It's not even real.
Well, do you mind if I go on like a small 2 3 minute rant real quick, explaining how the whole legal system is completely hidden for me? Okay, so it really all starts back in. I mean, people will argue a little bit before, but this is where I think the major divide and the call the sheep, if you will, that the church and the government did really well in taking over control. And yes, the church and the government do work together. They're just two different faces of the same coin. Anywho, back in 1871, the government turned itself from a unionized group of nations to a federal corporation. Okay. Now pay attention to the words that I'm using. A corporation. Look up your birth certificate. Look at your social security. Look at the fact that the IRS is not part of the government. Neither is the Federal Reserve. It's a private banking system. Now, anyways, in 1871, they became a corporation. It was also shortly after that that I believe it was in 1933 or four. It was just after the Minimum Wage Act that the government also sold our corporate rights that we had became back to the crown, meaning it put all of our judicial system that has no jurisdiction here because they operate under a thing called maritime law. Maritime law works under the District of Columbia. The District of Columbia is what provides the Bar Association. The Bar Association is what provides your judges and your lawyers. You catching the drift yet? I'm sorry if I'm speaking too fast, but I'm trying to make it
No,
quick.
keep
And if
going.
you want to
Keep
get
going.
more on this information, there's Black's Law Dictionary is free online. Now, in 1921, after the Tulsa incident, because of the fact that a group of minorities was bringing down Wall Street and they couldn't have that, so they bombed in place and they tried really hard to hide it, including the vaccination of 400 black males and gave them syphilis through a vaccine, mind you. And yet, like I said, they hide that shit. Then again, in 1933, Roosevelt, while simultaneously passing the Livable slash Minimum Wage Act, he had also attempted to remove the gold backing, but it was halted. It was then readdressed in 1971 under Nixon, in which they removed the gold backing to the dollar. What does that mean? It means the very federal note or that little digital number that shows up in your bank account, the IOU, where you're supposed to be able to take that, bring it to the bank, and get your equivalency in your weight of gold or silver or platinum, depending on which one you preferred, no longer exists. Why? Because it's called a fiat system. And how does that feed into the constant inflation? Well, that's because the Secretary of State and Treasury constantly borrow from the FDA. What is the not FDA, the federal banking system? And the federal banking system sells that money to them at an interest. How do they do that? They go into the things like the housing and medical market. That's why people who need insulin, their prices are way more than what it should ever cost. Most of the medical industry would be wiped out if it was actually handled by private medical organizations. You throw that on top of the housing market, and you look at it now where the price of a house of inflation has gone up well over 648% just in less than 4 decades. And they do that by lending or selling money. They're not selling houses, they're selling equity at an interest rate.
Makes sense.
And what do? They throw media rhetoric as if our country was founded on Christianity, which it never was. That's why there's a whole, separation of church and state. Church is not supposed to get into government, and government's not supposed to get into church. As long as you're not hurting anybody, you have a right to your beliefs. It's exactly how it should be. You just don't hurt people. And that's the end of my rant. Sorry.
No, it's good. I like that stuff. I remember seeing a big freaking thing on Moneyline that did the whole explanation of that, and I sat back one time and I was like, I felt like I had been slapped in the fucking face so hard, like for real. This is all bullshit. It's just fucking bullshit, and it's what it is. And we know it's bullshit, yet we continue it anyway. Because I don't understand.
It's
too far, bro. It's too far.
So I got one, and I'll see. I'll have you answer the question first, if it's okay, and then I'll answer it because I'm a scientific spiritualist / atheist. But I would love to hear your point of view on this, if you're okay.
Sure, spit it.
Okay, so I was asked. I'm more agnostic, but what do you think happened before the Big Bang?
Well, I mean, okay, see that right there is actually a problematic question in the first place. Because if you say what happened before the Big Bang, that's what they're understanding now about watching the energy waves and how fast they're moving and the detection of heat and its signatures. The idea that there was before or after or a presence before the Big Bang, it doesn't actually make any sense. Because it's like energy always existed, so maybe this universe had an explosion, or maybe they don't get it, but it always existed. There's never been a time when the universe didn't exist. It's always been. Time is not relevant. Time is what we made up. So the idea when you said I'm going to step outside my body, you can get that cornball time shit out of your head. And once you erase the idea of time, it doesn't fucking matter. Then there's no such thing. It's always there because there's no such thing as time.
Yep. Scientifically, they're called Planck increments. So this is the scientific understanding of it, because I actually do study quantum physics, particle physics, thermodynamics, the whole bunch. Okay. And I'm pretty sure you've seen me and Cancer Religion, talk about it every once in a while, etc. We definitely know it. So you're close. You're at the understanding of what a lot of us quantum physicists knew back in like 1984. Now, that's not to pick on you, because, again, as you see, a lot of the shit that I spew out, they do not teach you. You have to search for it. You have to either pay thousands of dollars, which no one can afford, or you have to put in the fucking work to learn this, right? So, yes, everything are waves, right? At their very smallest, they're waves. And the electromagnetic spectrum, which you only observe less than 1%, you actually, with your body, only comprehend or register 0.0038% of the electromagnetic spectrum that make up our 3D universe that rotates in a 4D time-space, not time, space, and matter, but time-space hypersphere, which means things constantly exist within each other while not existing within each other, that are over here and here at the exact time, place, increment, etc. while all that's happening, the Big Bang was simply a point of singularity, no different than a black hole, right? Now, there are a couple hypotheses out there, and a lot of people get confused between hypothesis and scientific theory. But there's hypothesis, for example, that a black hole isn't just a singularity, but it's also exceeding the spin speed of the travel speed of light itself. Therefore, the event horizon is causing a not only a twist or torque of the time space fabric, which is all these little lines of waves, right? And again, all these waves are just different notes and frequencies. They go infinitely in all directions, not just linear and all over, 432.9999999 infinity, right? And then there's one decimal point somewhere change, and that's a whole nother frequency. When it comes to the Big Bang is simply a point and time or a snapshot of a point in which our specific universe that we specifically observe, by the way, take some time and research what they call the double slit experiment. And if you really want to get goosebumps, bro, especially you, not cancel, California Satanists, um, start reading thermodynamics and quantum physics, and then also read the Hermetic principles right next to them. And you don't even have to stop at the start at the top and go to the bottom. Pick anywhere you want and then go anywhere in any direction you want with the Hermetic principles, aligning yourself with the particle physics, thermodynamics, and quantum physics, and it's going to blow your fucking mind how much these ancient people actually fucking knew. That the
Well, I wondered how
governments people
shit that
hide
they
this
did.
information for a reason.
Yeah, I wondered how they were able to, like, I mean, especially like the Egyptian with I mean, not even that. When we go back to like ancient China, and they had these massive, like,
I love you
what the
guys.
fuck? We can do that now.
Right. Well, here's another thing, right? Did you know that if you boil gold, right? And again, I used to be an alchemist, meaning I studied both the dark, light, and neutral arts of alchemy. Because when you dedicate yourself to alchemy for a time, you must dedicate yourself solely to it. It's literally part of its religion. Um, and so I did for 3 years of my life. And let me tell you, dude, turning lead into gold is absolutely possible. And that's what alchemy was. It was understanding things at beyond even the atomic level, at beyond molecular. Okay, because you then understand again, like with the Hermetic principles, that everything's are just waves, right? Everything is everything. The representation of consciousness of singularity is simply that. And most people are stuck in 3D processing. What does that mean? You're a 80s Macintosh, okay? Compared to the supercomputer you are biologically built to be. What do I mean by that? Your neurons fire at such a rate all simultaneously to a point that if you actually took the time to master your breathing, your eating habits, and doing more than just reacting to everything or drowning yourself out with media, you would find very quickly that your body does a trillion different things all subconsciously. Now imagine what kind of shit you could do if you could harness that power and then bring it from the back to the front, right?
Makes sense. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's and people will say, well, that's proof of a creation. No, that's literally proof of the spontaneous chaos and order in duality of singularity. That's all it is. And if there is a God, the God is everything. It's you, it's me, it's every animal, it's every ant that walks and carries something 10 times its body weight. It
Yeah.
is literally everything. It is waves, and consciousness is the representation. All we are at best is a minuscule time plank within another universe of another neuron firing in another being's brain. Like as above, so below. No
True.
matter how big you get, no matter how low you get on the decimal scale, on the thermodynamic scale, on everything. Okay, it's all a mirror of itself. There's a reason why the Fibonacci sequence in the mathematical equations for it works so fucking well. So,
You you remember the movie Men in Black?
yes, I do. I'll answer you
At
soon.
the very
You
end, we
crap.
have that big sack of marbles, and it's all a bunch of universes, and we were just that universe and that sack of marbles inside a fucking bus station or some
Yeah,
aliens thing that he threw in a bag.
yeah, absolutely.
That,
Yeah,
and the same thing you said about harnessing all that. Bruce Lee taught that. It was this 1-inch punch that he was able to harness whatever that you're talking about, all of that into that pow, and
They
he had to
called
figure it
it
out.
Qigong. They called it Qigong. See, he originally learned his art from a man named Ip Man, who taught a variated form of northern and combination hybrid form of northern and southern Wing Chun or Wing Sun, if you want to be, correct. I got to travel the world, so I got to learn a whole bunch of different arts and a whole bunch of different history. So sorry for the rambling, but and a lot of people, what they don't notice is it's not like this magical force, right? They're literally focusing magnetic pulses, creating kinetic energy, and then forcing that kinetic energy to kind of burst, like a fire, right? Very quick, very hot, um, very just it's strong. It has a strong resistance, so it adds to the already defensive capabilities of the very skin cells that you have. Does that mean that it's impenetrable? Well, no, but the more you practice it, the more effective it becomes. And see, a lot of people don't understand that there is definitely a difference between what Westerners think spirituality is and what the ancients believe spirituality. I mean, even fucking Christians, right? You go back in time to when it first started, the ones today would seem absolutely alien to them. I mean,
Well,
let us pray the pimp's prayer, right? 1 Timothy 2:12. Let's put a hoe in her place. Thus said the Lord. Not my words. Thus said the Lord.
well, you know what? If you took back a Christian to these days and to introduce them to, let's pretend Moses exists, which he didn't, but let's pretend his character and those people existed at that time. Do you know what would happen to the Christian? They would be executed immediately.
Yeah, it was, Doc. Yeah, and yeah, absolutely, man. Like it's bad. It really baffles me, and it's why I have to get high. Because notice, this is how I am when I'm high. Imagine how quick I am up here when I'm sober.
No, I got you. I got you. I got you.
So like when you see me get in these arguments on my video streams and stuff like that, dude. If you want a good comedy show, watch them in detail. Watch for little cues that I just kind of spew off to my victims, because I literally warn them everything that I'm gonna do. I preset what they're gonna say before they say it. I do it in such a way that if you pay attention, you realize that I absolutely just fuck with their mind the entire time. And I do
Well,
it all with facts.
and they love it though. I don't know why they love it so much because this day and age, and I've been saying this and I've been saying this, and I don't say
Yeah,
it as a
they
laugh,
did that.
but what I say is this: this is probably going to be the last 100 years of Christianity if this planet continues to exist, because the
Yes.
facts are there too much. The bullshit is
We
out.
could be wiped out at any moment. We really could. Yeah, we have some
Yep.
kind of defense. We won on the numerical side of Drake's equation. We've won so far. That's another thing, you Christians. Look up the Drake equation. It will help. Same with Fibonacci. It's not some, Mark, was it Mark Wahlberg who did that? No. Who was it? Who was the one that played Forrest? Damn it.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. There we go. It's not, the Tom Hanks Da Vinci Code. Okay. It's a real mathematical sequence. Go look it up. Go look up the Drake equation. It's a real equation to show you how itty bitty you actually are. You are literally just a blimp. And I
Not
got to
even.
say this, dude. Doc just said early Chris, because remember how I told you about that whole wavelength thing that when certain people who have tuned their brains to the specific frequencies to allow them to develop certain understanding and thinking. I'm about to prove it right now. Okay, what were
You're
you
gonna.
talking about what ancients did back then to get closer to God? What were we talking about?
A
What were they
question.
using?
Hold on 1 second.
Oh,
This person asking you a question, I want you to answer it. They
okay, go
said,
for
"What
it.
about Isaiah 53?"
What about Area
All
53?
right. Go ahead. You do it. You do it.
Is he making the joke reference from the I think it was the second Looney Tunes movie? Or is he like trying to be curious about the military? I mean, yeah, they have a lot of different secret bases. I don't know them all offhand. I probably got them put
Isaiah
away somewhere.
53, that's the one that Jesus is the the Old Testament scripture, Isaiah 53, that Jesus is the Messiah in the Old Testament. That's what they're asking about. Hey, can I answer that then?
Go for it, bro. Go for it.
Okay, if you read the Hebrew Tanakh, it does not have any chapters. There's no such thing as chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is one texture. It is one
Yep.
text. So if you're going to think you're going to yank from Isaiah 53:1 and go down and claim that's Yeshua, blah, 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 whatever, Jesus is not, it's actually talking about the suffering servants Israel. If you go back 10 scriptures into 52, it'll prove the fact that Israel is the description of what the suffering servant. It's not Yeshua.
Can I add to that?
Yes, sir. Go.
Okay, hey babe, do me a favor real quick, because I'm gonna do this in real time just to piss him off. I need you to look something up for me.
Ooh.
Look up what does Israel mean? What does it translate to? You Christians are gonna fucking hate it, especially. Oh, you know where I'm going with this. You already fucking know. And in a minute, I gotta go over Doc's statement here because you're gonna fucking love it, because I'm gonna do it in real time too.
All right.
While I'm waiting for that, I'm gonna do his real quick. So remember what we were talking about earlier on our previous Duetable Live? What were ancient religious people using to get closer to God?
Drugs, probably.
Yeah, drugs, psychedelic shrooms, weed, DMT. He's recently just said early Christians used psychedelics to get closer to God.
Hey, I could do that. I'll be a Christian.
We on that wavelength, bro.
Huh?
I said we on that wavelength. All right, you got it, babe? What is taking so long?
My phone is taking forever to load. That's what it came up with.
Let me see. Yeah, God contended, wrestles with God, triumphant over God. Meaning, when your little bad boy decided to wrestle God for a favor and won, and thus told him that the country afterwards, Israel, would be named as the ones who fight God and won. Looks like you need to stop being a Christian and get on that side with the Jews, man, because they just kicked your Christian God's ass by his own word.
Oops.
Can I get a hold of you? No, let me do it like you Protestants do.
I got a guy that says he split up the word Israel, right? And he's got Is-Ra-El, and it says three gods. You can't school me. Boom. That's what it says.
Oh, so he separated it, because he got that off of TikTok, by the way. I know it for a fact.
Yeah, he did.
Because I'm actually friends with the guy who did it. But when they separate it, right? Yes, because Hebrews have two synonyms, right? You're also going to find a mathematical equation there. Just like if you read the original Hebrew prayer from the old Taka, not just the Torah, you find that the mathematical equation in the Hebrew writing is a frequency that you harmonize with as you during meditation that is good for heart palpitations. You just been schooled, bitch. Do your research.
Let me see what the answer's going to be. No, it's three gods of Egypt.
Which is a representation in where they took partly from. And Egypt from the land of Shem, which was originally two countries that absorbed into one, which is why they went from 24 gods to 48 gods, and then for a small time went to a single sun god, and then went back to the other gods after, Thoth and his son created what they called the Cat Brotherhood. Motherfucker, I know my fucking history, but I'll keep going. Then you've got the motherfucking Sumerians, right? With, the Enki and Lil and how they, genetically altered. Yeah, by the way, the ones that predate your bullshit religion and your bullshit faith, yeah, they were talking about genetic splicing. Holy fuck, get with the fucking history, which is dope. And then you've got the Epic of Gilgamesh, right? The Great Flood, the flood that physically and geologically could have never fucking happened. Where the fuck did the water go? Did you even pay attention in third grade? You know what the water cycle is, right? Evaporation, condensation, precipitation. Where the fuck did it all go?
Oh, to the holes in the ground, the magic holes God made. The magic holes. Sorry.
Yeah, he's going back to Kabbalism. 15th century Kabbalism.
The underground oceans.
Yeah, the underground oceans of the flat Earth in a firmament, where a little star and a little moon, perfectly rotate each other, but don't always intermingle, even though we can see during different solstices, etc., that they're right next to each other. Like it's like, and at least the flat earthers bring the science, right? At least the flat earthers who are not Christians bring the science. Not good science, but they bring at least a somewhat convincing science if you don't pay attention. I'll at least give them that. You Christians believe that you're in a fucking disc stood by pillars with a fucking magical firmament dome, which the firmament was emptied onto it, which was the Noah's flood, right? And mind you, everything in the Bible takes place in a section of the planet that's yay big. They don't even realize that Eden was literally a place called Eridu, which you can still go to today. And guess what? There's no SCP-001 standing there with a fucking flaming broadsword. Okay?
Right?
It was a garden. Guess what? Just like in Genesis, in the Sumerian cuneiform tablets, yeah, go learn cuneiform, bitch. I have. I've also learned Egyptian and Egyptian hieroglyphs. They spoke in basically modern day emoji. Damn.
Damn,
This is why
emoji talk.
I'm
They were
educated.
texting before us. They're out there. What up, ho? With smiley faces and shit. What up? I mean, look at it. I got this shit all over my wall. It's fucking beautiful. I love that shit. This is just amazing.
So I
I
do
love
have
it.
a question for what's his name? Let me find it. Useless S Grant. Okay. Let me find it real quick. Wasn't that one? It was. How was the first energy or wave created though? Okay, so movement. Before everything, there was movement. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. You learn this in both the Hermetic principles, and yes, you can learn it from the Kabbalion. But again, all these spiritual things were written as kids' books because most adults back then knew better. Y'all are fucking stupid. I hate to say it. I love y'all, and I hope you start educating yourself. But they built it like comic books today, or like the Flash episodes where they talk about tachyons and negative tachyons and time space intervals and the speed of light and sound and etc. Notice most of them don't even use it accurately, which a lot of these scriptures don't use accurately. But they use it and present it in a way to get you interested in it, as if you're a child. And you want to know how I can tell that your brain is still developed as a child? Because if you're a Christian, you exhibit a mental disorder known as Stockholm syndrome. Now, this is not a put down. I want you to go look up that definition, because if you start paying attention to how your church runs and controls you and the way they educate you about the Bible, you're going to learn very quickly that you have indeed developed Stockholm syndrome. And it's okay. But educate yourself, please. If us Satanists or atheists or most pagans, for example, will teach you anything, if you take anything from our constant war back and forth, here's a white flag for a moment and an outreach. All right, please educate yourself. That if we would want nothing more than for you to educate yourself.
Absolutely.
And if we are wrong about something and you're educated in the matter, we're not going to be mad when you come and show us and present the evidence to it. If anything, we're going to be thankful. Let me explain something. Yes, we are very intelligent. However, one of the big things that I teach not only my boys, I taught my wife and many other people that I've helped through years, because I help with suicide prevention. I help with feeding, clothing, finding residencies, and education processes for the homeless. I volunteer for things like No More Sidelines, so that way I can help people that are physically and mentally impaired, while the rest of you fucking Christian society have thrown them out and have not even blinked an eye at them. Educate yourself. That's all we fucking ask. Because if you bring it to us, you don't have to be the smartest one in the room. You just have to be intelligent enough to listen to the ones who are.
It's fucking facts, brother. Hey, that's why I love when you come on. I'm always ready to learn some new shit today. Like, okay, what I got
And
today.
again, I hope I didn't take over your groove. Like,
No,
I don't get very up to work, and I have communication with people who, aren't having to deal with constantly defending other people who are constant victims to you Christians and Muslims and every other faith that like attack people and tell them to go fucking kill themselves. While you're creating all that fucking destruction, it's people like me that has to pick up the pieces. And we get tired. Fuck.
Yeah, for real. Hey, we catch those motherfuckers that are all fucking right on the edge of the cliff, and they don't know where to go, and then you're like, oh shit, dude, relax. Hold on, here,
Right.
hit this real quick. So we talk to you.
Yeah, your life is a rare cherry blossom bloom. You get one.
And you're lucky that you got this. That's it. It's fucking crazy. And you look how some people get shit on and like cards got dealt hard. It like hey, you heard like we were talking about you heard about the teddy bear, right? Teddy bear 666.
Yeah.
Dead guy who killed himself. Man, I just broke my heart. That really bothered. Oh, you were. I think you were on with me last time. When you were you
I was.
when you yeah yeah. That shit messed me up, man. I had to dude. When I got out, I cried a little bit.
It's hard,
My homie,
dude. And I hope my words, comforted you in some way. I really do.
well, I understand that life is what it is, and I mean, I get it on this level. I get it. So, like, I knew he was in mad suffering, so it didn't bother me too much as it was like sweet release for him.
Right. Well,
Because I don't look at it
right.
the same way Christians do.
Well, he was a part of you. Every time we interact with anyone, good or bad, all things, even good and evil, is subjective, right? To a degree, but you lose a part of who you are. They
Right.
were a part of it in some way, shape, or form, regardless. That's why I laugh and kind of cringe at the accuracy of I've lived in that person rent free in their head, because it's absolutely true. It really is, because even the people we're just fucking with, they now are a piece of us, whether our ego wants to admit it or not.
Well,
So when
I
they go, that's a piece of us that goes with them.
yeah, well, I don't like change. So if I interact with someone on any level, like even when movie stars die, I'm like, that's a piece of
Yeah,
my world that's left.
Robin
Even
Williams,
though
you
to me.
interacted with it. They created something that touched you in some way,
Yeah,
shape, or form. So it's still, that's what I'm saying. It's all just look at it at polarity, dude. It's just one section or one observation of the polarity. It's all connected. And it
it is.
fucking hurts.
But it's
That's what I
awesome
think
to be
life is. Life is the great journey of pain and understanding it in all its crappiness and awesomeness at the same time. I mean, I do love being spanked, huh,
oh,
babe?
I love being alive. Like being alive is the coolest thing ever. And yeah, I have ailments and bad knees and shit. Who everybody's got something, right? And
Absolutely.
uh,
Yeah.
but I get to wake up and watch this massive sun come up over these mountains, and I get to see a beautiful sky, and I get to look at titties. I get to eat cheese enchiladas and other things, and I get to smoke weed and drink beer. I get to have chips and salsa and Greek food. I get to go to anywhere I want to go on this fucking rock, and it's pretty
You can
and
do
it's beautiful.
whatever you want if you just put your brain to it.
That's it. And it's like I wouldn't miss this for the world. But wait a minute,
Right.
that didn't even make
So I guess I gotta slap back this supposed agnostic, useless S Grant, because he replied, I mean, God is in your head rent free seems to be all you know about. Um, have you not been paying attention? I've already spat out law. I've already spat out history, science, theology, ancient theology, psychology. I mean, where the fuck have you been? I mean, I guess you're the perfect demonstration of what I'm talking about. You don't do the research, you don't put in the work.
Somebody asked, what is the definition of demon? And the other person asked, what about the people that are being attacked by demons? I think we already talked about mental illness, but they probably weren't here.
Well, okay, so here's the thing, right? As a scientific spiritualist slash atheist, I can absolutely guarantee you that there are forms of consciousness that interact. Absolutely. I can scientifically prove it. And if you ever want to go down that hole, California, you let me know. And I will give you every link of science you need that satisfies whatever you need to justify it into your brain. Okay. Now, when Christians talk about demons, they need to understand that first they need to reference them to what they really were. Demons being the manifested spirits or cursed spirits of the Nephilim being the children of the fallen ones being fellow Elohim. when Yahweh went on his little bitch fit rampage.
Hey, break down the family of
Look
L,
at
bro.
me, Dad. I'm
Break.
Trunks.
Yep.
Right? And then while all this was going on, you have to understand that they also talked about it not only in the Abrahamic, theologies, the Canaanite theologies, the Sumerian theologies, the Egyptian theologies in their own way, but so did the Buddhists, the people from Tibet, India, anywhere you want to name it, right?
Right.
They had these forms of theologies. Okay, they're all connected. I also do a class on it for free on my Discord if you ever want to learn about all of them and how they're all connected, even the Norse, etc. But while all this is going on, right? You also have to understand that these other ones referenced them as the jinn. Okay, they described them as smokeless fire, spiritual beings that take over the bodies of people. Now, most people they suffer things from anywhere from like autism and Asperger's like that to people who have schizophrenia, people who have DID, dissociative identity disorder. Okay, mind you, I'm talking about all this while I'm stoned out of my mind. Do your fucking research. Anywho, I digress. While you research all this shit, and then you also research the things like the Alkebalan and the other African theologies, and then you go back over to the Southern Americas and to the Incans, the Mayans, the Aztecs. Then you get into the Navajo, the Blackfoot, the Cherokee, and I can keep on going and going. And then also go through the geology research and find out that they had more advanced building technology than we do now. And that the higher up you go, you realize that newer and more recent civilizations built on top of them, and they built them worse than they were built before, meaning there's an obvious strain of a degress of information. We already have proof of a global intertrading system that goes back about 12 to 15,000 years that we can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt to this day. There are many theories and some hypotheses that push it all the way back to 198,000 years ago when there was a total of 7 different humanics Homo sapien
Hey,
Homo
we agree
species.
on the DMT thing, guy. This guy said you tried DMT. The guy that was talking about the demon shit. Yeah, DMT.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, get it.
Yeah, DMT is fucking awesome, man. I mean, especially when you learn to secrete it on your own from your pineal gland. Like, it's awesome. It's what helps you dream, and it's what allows you to also determine and absorb and create that mental picture, because everything you experience or observe is technically past tense. Why? Because it takes a certain amount of time for light to travel from one distance to another to reflect off the color that an object is not. That's what you see, not what it is, but what it is not is actually every other color but what you see. And then it takes time for that reflection to then bounce off of that to hit your retina. Then your retina has to send a electrical signal to your brain. Then your brain has to send those different signals to create a conscious picture. So everything you observe is technically past tense. The only time you see present or future tense is when you consciously think ahead of time and plan. And then what you're doing is you're seeing multiple variables of what things can be. This is where quantum physics come into play, because when you pay attention to the slit experiment, a wave doesn't become a particle until you observe it. Meaning, until we observe it, we can only see the probabilities of what is about to happen. Boom, there you go. You've been in school. Have fun.
Hey, here's the question. Answer me this: how are people getting healed in Jesus' name? Can you answer it?
It's called the placebo effect. Okay. Look it up. It's not even that hard. They took 500 cancer patients, gave 250 of them sugar pills, and told them that it was the most recent medication out there and that it cured cancer 97% of the time. They took it, and 78% of those cancer patients cured their own bodies of cancer. And then the ones that they did give medicine to, all but 3 died. Here's another thing you need to research. Look up Tesla and the wonderful wonders of 369 and harmonic frequencies. And mind you, just like there are different light frequencies, there are sound frequencies. Your body and organs operate at certain frequencies. For example, the Earth harmonizes at 7.83. Look it up. Do your
369.
research.
Hey, 369. There is so many people out there that like live by 369. Like it's life changing. 369 is
Oh yeah,
It's
because once you
perfect.
tap into that, you tap into levitational abilities, you tap into medical things, and before these people go, but they don't apply frequency or sound frequencies in the medical field. Ultrasound, when they break down kidney stones. I mean, I can just go on and on and on, but they have absolutely been using it all the way back since the 1940s. I mean, hell, if you actually pay attention to the actual documents that the CIA released, especially about Tesla, even though they heavily redact it, the bastards, you will
Yeah, right.
find a lot of shit. And here's another thing Leonardo da Vinci was literally teaching people this shit in geometrical form. It's what people now know as sacred geometry.
Hey, so she said, so you rely. She said, so the person, the G boys. So you rely on your wisdom of man rather than the one that created you. I have to pee. Go ahead,
So
spit
who
it, brother.
created me? Let me ask you this, okay? Why don't you pop over to my side and we can have this little conversation, okay? Because first, great claim, and who created me? And who are you getting that information from? Are you getting it from the deity that you're speaking of yourself? And if so, please provide the evidence to your claim. Or are you basing that knowledge written by a bunch of old dudes with daddy issues? You know, the Bible. So, I mean, I hope you caught all of that for reals. Like, where are you getting your comprehension and understanding? See, I actually took this information and I didn't just research
Oh,
it, I actually fucking applied it. Okay?
okay. So we got two different people. We got the DMT guy said Yahushua. I think he's gonna be Hebrew roots movement. I can tell by that.
Kind of. The Hushala, it was strictly the I want to make sure the line of Isaac, right? Because you have to remember in both the
Let's see how
Canaanite,
how
the Sumerian, and the Hebrew tale, Abram, who was Abraham, came from Samaria. He was a astrologist, all this other stuff. He had two sons.
right,
He had the son of a slave and the son of his wife, Isaac
right,
and Ishmael. The descendants of Ishmael is who became the Muslims,
right.
who stuck more towards a more Canaanite version of the Hebrew faith, while Isaac took the more Judeo. Does that make sense? Like it.
Right. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh, my favorite, the 500 witnesses. Name them.
Hey, I got the pen out. Let's go. Start naming them,
Even
and I'll
the
write them down.
Gospels were not written by a Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They were written
Spit
80
it.
to 160 plus years after the fact. The earliest reference to even Christianity outside of the Bible or the New Testaments was by a name by Pili the Youngest or Younger. And he didn't even mention Yahweh like you Christians tried to claim. He mentioned in a letter that, hey, these Christians are practicing their faith without a Roman permit. Then you have Tacitus, who, again, none of his sources, zero, are referenced by name. Do your fucking historical research. And as for the
How,
500 witnesses, by the way, I have 1,500 witnesses because I'm going to do it just like Paul did when he wrote his letter in the Corinthians. Mind you, you ready? There were 1,500 witnesses. You just have to ask. I am the prophet on high. I am the prophet almighty. I am the prophet. I'm going to continue with the fact that there's going to be another person at a later date who's going to bring up fucking Ryan Wyatt. As a matter of fact, I'll even claim the week that it's going to happen. It's going to happen next week, and then I'll post it. And then if you'd like, I'll tag you to it. Because guess what? When it comes to prophecies, not only did Nostradamus do it, but the goddamn Simpsons did it better. Boom!
Simpsons actually happens though. Simpsons actually happened. That motherfucker's an alien. That motherfucker has to be an alien. He
How
knows
long
too.
do you think? How long do you think, babe? What we'll do one of your prophecies. How long do you think before the Christians get pissed off enough and try to dox my shit and report me?
As long as you don't say anything, they can't. Like you can talk all you want. As long as you don't say certain keywords, they can't do anything.
Oh, I know. They can
Hey,
still
but
get you temporarily blocked for like a day, if that. And it's like they don't realize that one, I'm using a burner phone, and two, it's hooked to a VPN, and three, I have like 20 fucking accounts. One of them is specifically for my merch. That is, you saw it. What do you think about it, by the way? I got to know your opinion.
I like it all. Well, see, every one of them was good. And see, anything for me, the most controversial is going to usually be the one I like. This is how I roll. I like the most controversial because when people meet me and they see how non-confrontational I am, and I'm just like way passive, I'll probably give you a fucking hug, and then I'll be, oh, I get a lot of weird, like I hug people and shit, and they get weirded. But yeah, I like it to be super. Holy fuck, the worst thing possible, and I like them all. I want them all.
Say hi, Thor. I'm 3 weeks old today.
Oh, look at the kitties. Hey, man, my phone's about to kaput. That's it for me.
Absolutely. I'm going to continue on because these Christians really want to know more. So I'm gonna keep doing it. And then I'll save this video. And if you hook up on my Discord, dude, I'm going to start posting these live so that way people can get some laughs on them and start posting them on YouTube and shit.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I'm gonna do a little, probably in the morning, a YouTube video of your merch, and do like a link thing. People can see it, and I'll promote the fucking shit out of it so we can get that.
Thanks, man. I highly appreciate that, bro. For reals.
Yeah, I want people to see it because it's fun, and I know if I do 3 screenshots, I'll get it all, and I can do like I can get it in there, and I'll do a link to your name and all that shit, and get that pop.
By the way, DM me yours so that way, because it's hard for me to find all that shit. DM me yours so that way I can do the same thing for you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, G.
Love you, man. Take it easy.
Hey, I'll be on tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow, dude.
For sure. So long as they don't, G boys, okay? Do I believe in God or a God? Well, hate to say this to you, but my comprehension or representation of what a God is not what you consider a God. If the best way to describe it would be, I am God, you're God. Everyone is. We're simply a representation in a time experience of that God. We are all energy. What created the universe? Movement. It's that simple. Aw, thank you, Chewy Bunny. And definitely thank you, Draven P. Loki. Your mic messed up, bro. Sounded good earlier. Is that better? Let me know. You believed or believe? I mean, let's break it down a little bit, because my primary goal is to help people who actually want to be educated. So if you're willing to check your ego and willing to learn something, I'd be happy to take a little bit of my time and help walking you through that, whatever specific form of theology that you adhere to. So if you want some questions have some questions about it, shoot away. It still sounds the same. Let's see. Maybe that fixed it. Let me know. I might. All right, well, if you guys would like, I'll exit out and then jump back on real quick, and then just go ahead and jump back on if you want. Let's see it and see if that fixes it.